Are you downsizing? Maybe need more room because of additions to the family, or possibly seeking that dream home you've always wanted? Well, Tim Eisner at Royal LePage Atlantic is the guy for you. With a proven track record and multiple awards, Tim goes above and beyond to find out your needs and exactly what you're looking for. So if you're seeking a new home or trying to sell your current one, contact Tim at 902-499-5717 or check him out on Facebook at Tim Eisner. Again, that's 902-499-5717. Trust me, when all is said and done, we'll be saying Tim Eisner strikes again. Hey, happy Monday once again. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Welcome to episode 63 of Outside the Chute. I'm your host, Randy Frame. This week's OTC Player of the Week comes to us from Arizona as Salen Hawkins takes home the weekly honors. Salen hit .533 with a double, triple, home run, 3 walks, and got hit by a pitch 5 times while playing at the Alliance in OKC. I imagine the body needs some ice after those games. Great job, Salen. Best of luck going forward. On to this week's guest, and we sat down and chatted with 5-time ISC World Champion, 10-time ISC All World selection, and ISC Hall of Famer, Shawn Rychcik. Shawn had an amazing 23-year playing career in the game, which included an 8-year stint on the USA men's national team, producing a gold medal, 2 silver medals, and a bronze medal. He was twice named United States Olympic Committee Athlete of the Year in men's softball. He was able to walk away with 2 ASA National Championships, an MVP, and 8 All-American selections. And finally, he left the ISC circuit, as previously mentioned, 5 World Championship rings and 10 ISC All World honors. Shawn would go on to coach in the NCAA for 14 seasons combined, as the head coach at NC State University and Boston University. He amassed almost 450 wins at the 2 schools. His team captured 4 conference championships, making 7 trips to the NCAA Regionals and 1 trip to the Super Regionals. 4 times he was named Conference Coach of the Year. We're going to talk to Shawn about getting a start in the game, getting to play down in New Zealand for a season, his time with the U.S. men's national team, his amazing ISC career that led to a trip to the Hall of Fame in 2012, as well as much, much more. Shawn was a pleasure to chat with, and it was awesome that Hopi and I got the chance to talk to such a legendary player in our game. So as usual, grab that drink, sit back, relax, because here we go.
I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. I can't describe what I'm feeling, ain't never felt this freedom. I got the world in my palm, like camera action, it's on. Ain't never felt this freedom. Could you say that anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes, anything goes.
All right. Hey, man. That's how our weekend's going right now.
Hey, Dick, how are you?
Oh, well, sore.
Yeah, why are you sore?
Well, I played a few ball games over the weekend.
Yeah. It was
Thursday.
fantastic, though.
Yeah, it was. Great weather.
Yeah, and as we spoke about, it's going to be nice. We'll try to implement some weekend games next year in the league.
Absolutely.
We had crowds there, guys that brought their families to watch because typically they can't do that on a Thursday night because it's late. So that was exciting. I loved it.
It really was. And
Yeah.
I mean, it helped. The U10s were going on at the same time, provincials.
Yes, that's right.
And I mean, kids come up from the first field there and would watch.
The older guys.
And it was fun. It was a different atmosphere than we're used to on Monday and Thursday night.
That's right.
And, you know, as a pitcher, I freaking love that.
Yeah. You know, one takeaway I have for the kids coming up to watch is, well, Joel Eisner's young fella Cam plays, and then a friend of mine, Aaron Cannon, his young fella Glenn plays, and they both pitch. Well, they both wear the Gorilla Gold in their back pocket because they wanted to emulate the older guys when they watch us on Thursday nights. Yeah, it's pretty exciting because they want to be us. It's great.
That's great. Yeah, actually, I took the video there for our Shooter's Instagram account there and posted the kids playing. It's great to see. You know? Yeah.
So I just finished. I just announced and kept score for the championship game in the semifinal, and the Brookfield Elks defeated the East Anse Mastodons in the final. I think it was might have been 7-5 or something. It was very close anyway. It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was exciting for the U10 provincials.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
You were saying that before we start recording here. Brookfield's had a pretty good year with their program.
They mopped up their, I think their U14, U12, and U10 teams all won the provincials this year in Nova Scotia. Yeah. And they were all very close games too, with East Hants in the final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's good. It's good for competition.
Yeah. Those two programs. And actually, speaking of other programs, I saw West Hants was there this weekend.
West Hants had a team at the U10 provincials this weekend. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. It was good to see them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
They won a game too, so they were pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of other things, Eastern Canadians we have coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited just to get away with the boys and actually play in a tournament that means something.
It's been like 2 years in the making.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fun. Yeah,
yeah,
it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's 7 teams that are going.
Yep,
4 from New Brunswick, 2 from home, and then 1 team from Ontario.
Hamilton Pirates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is Tim Coe playing that team?
No, I think he was with Waterdown.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Waterdown Hammer.
It was just weird. He sent me a friend request today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's going with them.
Maybe he is. Yeah.
Timmy, are you going with them? Let us know. if so, we'll see you there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be fun.
Yep.
The whole what our government has told us, so you have to be double vaccinated in order to come back into our province, or you have to, if you have 1 vaccination, 7-day. What am I calling it? 7-day what? You have to quarantine. Sorry,
there it is.
I'm hungover. And if you don't have the vaccination whatsoever, you have 14-day quarantine. So hopefully everybody is vaccinated for the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about ICs.
Oh,
amazing Spider Monkey Bradley.
that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
yeah. But first, congrats to Hill United and on their. Was that their 4th?
Whatever
I forget what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, and New York, of course, they had. Great showing there, and whenever those two teams play, you're in for a competitive game, and the finals was, like we said, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible, and it's funny because when we talked to Greg Leather, unfortunately our podcast failed because the SD card was not the right one.
Stupid
SD. But Greg had said to us, because we had asked who's the team to beat at ISCs, and he still said it was the Hill United Chiefs.
Yeah.
So yeah, smart man.
Yeah, he couldn't get over them being ranked 4th.
That's right. Yeah. So. And congrats to the New York Emeralds as well. They had quite a staggering year.
Oh sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
beautiful ball, man. I loved watching that championship game. Was probably one of the best I've ever watched. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was awesome. And you know what else I loved about that ISC coverage? I mean, Blair did a fantastic job doing play-by-play.
Gave us a shout out too. I love it.
Yes, to all the podcasts actually.
That's right.
The drone coverage that they had.
Yeah, that's sick, man.
Oh man,
I'd love to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. It was great.
We'll have to look into it. We'll have to steal one from Radio Shack or something.
Yeah, let's go.
Radio Shack.
Radio Shack.
What the fuck that is?
1984. Anyway, we're talking to a ISC legend today.
I guess we are. Shawn
Rychcik. Yeah. The accolades that he's had over his career are mind-blowing, actually. 10-time ISC All World, 5-time world champion, ISC Hall of Famer. So it's going to be great to, talk to Shawn. And
it wasn't also 2-time Olympic athlete of the year for United States as well, or something crazy. Yeah.
Unreal. So it's going to be nice to
I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Hear his career. And he also coached NCAA for 14 seasons as a head coach. So he gets it from both sides. So it's going to be nice to ask him, what it's like coaching.
Yeah.
One question I do want to ask him is like, what is a typical day like at work there?
As an NCAA coach.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I'd like to know that anyway. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to him.
All right, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Okay.
Yo.
All right, here we go. Shawn, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
How are you and the family making out down in North Carolina?
Everything's good. Everything's really good. It's hot as can be. It's the dead of summer down here, but everybody's healthy. Everybody's kind of getting active again. We've been playing baseball. My son, oldest boy, plays travel baseball, so we're at the ballpark a lot of weekends. Nice. But life is not normal, but we're moving. We're doing all right.
Right on. How are the cases down there? I mean, they rise and drop on a daily basis. I mean, what's it like down there right now?
Yeah, I think everybody just went back to school this week, and so we got 1 week into school. So I think you're going to see things spike a little. I think a lot of the parents have said that there's 6 cases or 10 cases been noted already in the school. So we're worried they're all going to get sent back home and go back to remote learning, but which is not good in our hole. So we need people in classroom to get things going. But I think, it goes up and down. My oldest boy's been vaccinated, but my small one is just too young yet. So it's just, there's cases. A majority of them are still the ones not getting vaccinated. Those are the ones in the hospital. Those are the ones that are really sick, are the ones not vaccinated. So I'm not pushing anything along, but it is the way it is down here. Is most of the people that are having a lot of trouble are the unvaccinated, and there are cases otherwise, but we're avoiding for the most part. So it's keeping us safe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, same here. I mean, the trouble we're having with the cases is the people that are unvaccinated. So,
yeah.
I mean, we could go on and on. I mean, we have on here, and it is what it is. I mean, if people want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. I mean, it's going to help you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, must be getting excited for the Bills season opener against the Steelers next week. I mean, we touched on football right before we start recording here. You got your pool coming up, but huge Bills fan.
Yeah, real excited, especially as good as Alan's first little taste of preseason yesterday, and he just marched him up and down the field like a machine. So, back to the COVID thing, though, there's a whole bunch of Bills not vaccinated. So there's a big worry that's going to interfere with the season. But I'm excited for it. I like college, or I like pro football. I like college football too. But, it's been a long drought for the Bills. I'm old enough to be back to the Super Bowls when they lost their 4 Super Bowls. 4, yeah. And I was a big fan then. I was old enough. I wasn't a kid, but, and then there was a lot of lean years inside there. And so they seem to have it right. They've got a quarterback that's really embraced the city and what everybody in that area and what everybody that kind of roots for the Bills is about. And so you can't help but excited, even as sometimes as burned and, as bad as some of the seasons have been, right now where all of my buddies and stuff are all excited. So we're figuring it could be a pretty good year. We'll see. Well, hopefully they stay healthy. I think that's the whole key. Yeah.
So. I was looking at the preseason polls, and I think the Bills are just behind Tampa and Kansas City. So, I mean, it could be their year.
Yeah, well, that's where it kind of comes down to this. We were worried about COVID. A lot of me and my friends with the Bills, since none are vaccinated, because it kind of goes back to when New England and Indianapolis with Manning and Brady, and it was sort of like whoever had home field was the one that kind of advanced out of that AFC Championship game. And so, in order to get by Kansas City, you got to somehow host and have a better record. And if you get hit by COVID and miss a few games and have a good year, but end up having to go to Kansas City for the final playoff game, that's a huge home advantage. And I know if anybody's ever been to Buffalo, the fans and the craziness that goes on there, that'd be
Bills Mafia.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They had offside penalties and delay of games in a preseason game last night. There was 50,000 people there. So yeah, exactly. They're just starving for it. And so if you can get that last playoff game in Buffalo, it's a big deal. And we're all just worried that, COVID will, give them a good record. They'll be all right. And maybe Allen misses or something, lose a game or two. And that costs them the host, which could cost them the trip to the Super Bowl. So, but it's good to actually be realistic and talk about the Super Bowl with the Bills again.
Yeah, for sure. On to some softball now. Yep. You run a business called Softball Academy?
Yeah. Yep. I opened up a business about 2.5 years ago. And we're basically just do private lessons for mostly high school kids, but there's some younger ones, 10, 12-year-olds come in, and the whole goal is to just get to college. That's I know the path. I've been there. And so, doing pretty good. I crazily opened it up, and then 8 months later, COVID hit, and didn't know where I was going to be. I got shut down for a couple months, and I just kept getting phone calls through COVID. Or when you open, and I'm like, I'm not even opening, I'm growing. And so when I opened the door up, it was just kaboom. I exploded. Wow. And 2 months ago, I hired somebody else to help me. I needed I've got 2 lanes in my building, and I've got 2 tunnels, and I use one, and I do some team stuff. So teams will come in and rent both cages, but I hired somebody that played for me at State and coached with me at State, and she coached at East Carolina, and she's doing pitching and hitting lessons for me. So I've gotten to the point where I'm overflowing, and I don't want to start turning people away because I do want to grow the business. So it's kind of, taking a step back, I'm pretty excited that it's kind of actually kept going through COVID and not really where a lot of business shut down. I kind of grew, and I know it's kind of a specialty nook, and travel ball goes on and college recruitment goes on. So that never stops. So I'm kind of a supplier to it in a way, or at least the kids are trying to get there. So business has been good though. It's nice having your own business. I will say that now after all the years of working for somebody, it's nice.
Yeah, no doubt. So was this like a way of being able to, help with the game after you were done coaching?
Yeah. Well, when I left state, I said to my wife, I said, we're really bound by nothing. And all the time we dated and all the time we were married, there was always a connection to softball, whether I was playing or what university I was coaching at. And we were tied to, we can only do this and only can do that. And, we'd like to go there, but that job will never be open because their coach is there. And so when I kind of got done with coaching and it was just a good time for me to just get away, it was time. And, I said to my wife, I said, what do you want to do? I said, we can go here, we can go here, we can do this, your family, my family, this area, that area. I said, our kids are at the right age right now. We're going to have to make a permanent move for the high school starts, but we're going to be able to do what we want. And we both kind of said, first I said to her, I said, do you want to move up north? And I got it just about out of my mouth, go back up north. And she said, absolutely not. So I kind of took it that there was no snow involved in wherever we were moving. And I said, I really like it here a lot. And she said, well, so do I. And she's like, well, I can get in, get going again with work and things like that. And she said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I got a plan. And she's like, well, how long have you had this? And I said, for a long time in my head. I have a long, long time. I've got some friends that do it and they're very successful. And I think I've been here long enough. People knew who I am. I was at, one of the premier universities around this area. So it just instantly gives me some credibility. I'm not sure how much my playing career does anymore. It's a long time ago. But I still once in a while grab a bat and say, no, do it like this and let one rip down the cage. And they're like, okay. So, then my back hurts. Then my back hurts for 3 days.
Yeah. We know the feeling.
Yeah. But, so we decided, let's stay here. And so we didn't move and we love the area. We love everything about where we're at. And I searched for, 6-8 months to find the right building and kind of found what I wanted and was able to get it set up. And my wife landed a great job, which kind of put a little bit of concrete in where we're at financially and insurance and all that stuff. She's got a great job. And it allowed me to give some time to grow and build my business, which at least I'm a contributor again. So it's kind of nice, but we just didn't want to leave. It was really nice down here and enjoyed the winters here where it's 55 degrees versus, back up north or Boston or Buffalo where I'm from. And, I like snow still and we root for it down here because we don't see it very often. So a couple times a year, that's fine. But, on a all winter basis, you don't have to deal with that snow. And it got to be pretty nice. So we just decided this is kind of where we wanted to stay. So we built the business and kind of built our lives around everything here.
Right on. Awesome. That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's get on to your career then. Tell us when and where you got your start in the game.
I started chasing. Yeah, well, you're going to bring me back. I started chasing. My dad played fast pitch. So I'm a second generation. I remember being at the ballpark when I was 6-7 years old. And I love Sundays because Diamond 2 and Diamond 3 opened up and you could go as kids, you could go over there and have a game, on the old other diamonds with all the eliminations and stuff went on the main diamond. So I can remember playing in the dirt and being out there and dragging bats. Somebody's like, where's my bat? And we're over on the other field with it and trying to play things like that. But, I just was around it with my dad and he played. I never played with him. He retired. And then when I was 16, I got played baseball, high school baseball and all that. And it's not like up in Canada where you get juniors and all that. You get brought up through it really. And 16, I got asked by one of the guys that my dad had played with, and he was still hanging out. He says, hey, do you guys and my son, I'm a year older, and so I'm a year older than his son, and so good friend of mine. We grew up at the parks together. He's going to play. I'm going to play, and we're going to get a couple of the old timers that just want to play in the league. They don't want to travel and play weekends or go to nationals or anything like that. They just want to play Monday, Thursday nights. And this will be a great opportunity for you to start playing fast pitch. And it was it was still around my area. So at 16, I got out there and started playing. And, I had a good mentor, taught me how to play first base at softball level versus baseball, which is a lot of difference in the footwork and how you move. And then, played outfield, and I was told never to throw home. It was just they were going to get home, score, and the runner's going to get the second. So at the first year and a half, I was never allowed to throw home on a base hit with a runner on second. Drove me nuts. But just learning the value of not letting that kid go to second base versus trying to throw home when you're not going to get them, and just give up one, don't give up two. So spent a couple of years doing that, and then. One of the teams in the league, probably the best team in the league, they were a traveling team. They had a few guys 4 or 5 guys in the league that played, or maybe not quite that many, 3 or 4 that traveled on the weekends. And then they would pick up different people from all over the place. And they said, hey, we want you to come and, start traveling on the weekends and playing, which I'm like, oh my God, that's what my dad did. I loved it. And they go, oh, here's the catch. You need to come play with us in the league too, which I had to make that phone call and say, hey, I'm leaving teams. And that didn't go over great, but that was kind of how it all started. And I played for them for a couple of years, and out of the crazy thing happened out of nowhere. My sponsor got in trouble legally. And so in 1989, middle of June, we were playing a couple weekends, going to be a great summer. And all of a sudden I have no team, nothing.
Shit.
And me and my buddy, he said, hey, we bounced around. We went to a few different tournaments, just showed up, tried to jump on. And he goes, hey, I think it was the July 4th weekend. He goes, there's the Queen City tournament in Buffalo. And he says, there's 50, 60 teams there. They run on 5 fields or whatever it is. He's like, there's always teams looking for somebody up there. Let's just get our uniforms, get up there on Saturday morning or Friday night. I can't remember which one it was. And I think we hit 2 diamonds, and they're like, no, we're good. And there was New Martinsville, West Virginia. And we walked over there, and he goes, hey, these guys always travel light because they're coming from a long ways. And we're like, hey, how you guys doing? He's like, you guys look familiar. And like, yeah, we played for Big Ronnie's. That was the name of the team I played for. He goes, oh, yeah. Are you guys in the tournament? He said, no, we're looking for a team. He says, you guys need players by chance. And they're like, you ain't gonna believe this. Our shortstop tore his ACL. And somebody else dislocated their shoulder, and somebody else couldn't make it because their wife's pregnant or something. So we got 9 guys, and one of them's the manager, like the sponsor that runs the team, and he's 50 some years old. And so if you guys want to play, we'll take you. And they go, where do you play? And I said, I play first base. And he goes, where do you play? And he says, I play second. He says, okay, perfect, because our second baseman plays short, so he'll move over. And they go, where do you normally bat? And I said, I usually bat third on my team. He's great. We'll put you at third. And my buddy goes, well, I bat leadoff. So instantly we're first and third in the lineup. And so we go and play, and we play about 3 or 4, and we go down and play in Ashland. We play, I think, in Meadville and a couple other tournaments, and then maybe somewhere up in just over the border in Canada. And then they said, hey, we got to qualify for the ISC. You guys aren't in early enough. You had to do it by May or something. I can't remember what the deadline was to be on the thing. But if we do, we're going to take you and just pick you up, and nobody will know, because we've never won a game in our history of going to the ISC. And I have no idea what the ISC really even is. Right. I'm 21 years old. And my buddy's Ben, though, he got to go a couple of years before up in Saskatoon in 87 or 86, whatever year it was. And so he's like, man, if we get to go, he says, you're in for a treat of what the real world of softball is like. And so they called us and said, hey, we went through it. We went undefeated, and we're going to go to Kimberly in second week in August. And I'm like, oh, great. I had no idea. And then I got to Kimberly, and my jaw hit the ground, and I realized what softball was really like. And so that was 1989. And that was kind of how the path started. And I didn't know any better. We had a great tournament. We won our first 2 games. They never won a game in their history. And we won the first 2 games, and we got beat by Victoria. But Payless beat us. That was our 3rd game, Payless. And so we go in the losers bracket, and we play another team from Texas, I think, and we beat them, which 1-0. I think we had a bunch of 1-0 games or 2-1 games, and then we get Owen Sound, and I'm like, and Undy's did Undy throw that? We throw Owen Sound. I don't think Brad was there.
Okay,
but we had Owen Sound, or maybe he was, and yeah, he was there, and we beat him. So we knocked off Owen Sound, and so who do we get next? We get Michael White next with Aurora Allsteel in '89, and he beat us. So we went 4-2, and I don't remember what we finished, 15th or something like that. And a couple of weeks later, I'm at Elkland, Pennsylvania, to finish up the season, and one of the guys from Ashland ESS comes by and says, "Hey man, great tournament. You made All World." I'm like, "What's that?" And he's like, and he goes, "You led the tournament in RBIs," and I went, "Nope, no idea what that stuff." Like I ended up making second team All World. I didn't know that stuff existed or anything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that was my first ISC, and it was in Kimberly, which was, I still think, the all-time best place, and the fans and that. And so I didn't know anything. I'm like, I just play. That's all I do. I play at third and drive and runs and do this and do that. And I didn't realize, we go 4-2. They never won a game ever. And then, I lead the tournament. I think I was tied with the tournament in RBIs. And so it was just one of those holy cow kind of things. And, and then I think next year we went back in 90, it was in Victoria. Then I felt the pressure of the place, because I was like, God, I can make All World and have these accolades. And we got a tough draw up there too. I think we had Rempel brothers. We had Robbie Scheller, I think, in opening night or something, and he was throwing BBs under the dark, and we got beat, and we won another game. And then our second game was Larry Miller Toyota. They got beat up there, and that was Meredith's 60 inning run of scoreless innings.
Holy.
And that was the first time I ever faced him. And it was like he was throwing a Frisbee, that rise ball. It bounced and it went up, and then it went up again and went up again. And he struck me out a couple times and threw a perfect game or a no hitter. And that was the first time I ever faced Meredith. And that was in 1990. I was just 22 years old. And it took me a little while to kind of get my feet. I had some good years, but just not like that first one, because I didn't know any better. And then, I moved teams, so I played a couple of years in West Virginia, and then jumped over to Midland Explorers, did I go to Midland? I went to excuse me, Ashland, Ohio, and played with Nick McCurry for a year. I think everybody runs through Nick McCurry at some point. So I played for Nick, and then I went to Midland and played with the Explorers for a couple of years. And then had some good years, had some good tournaments there. We had Zach and Undy for the ASA one year, which was a lot of fun. We didn't have enough. Yeah, we didn't have enough horses, though. We just couldn't. And then we just couldn't get over that hump. And then we went to ASA that year, and we had Zach, and we thought, this is going to be it. And Brian Marty hit a home run, and that's when at the ASA they just blind draw you. So we draw the Bloomington Hearts, and Brian Marty hits a changeup out of the park off Z, and we lose 1-0. And then we made it all the way back to third place at the ASA, and that was 93. And then that was this winter I decided I got an opportunity to go to New Zealand. So I went in 93, 94 winter over to New Zealand and spent the winter over there. And it was just just so much fun. And I met a lot of friends and a lot of people, legends of the game over there, and end up playing. Hayden Smith kind of got me set up. And then I kind of got connected to Mark Sorensen because he was on the Cardinals. So I went over and played on the Hutt Valley Cardinals and over in New Zealand. And I got connected, and me and Mark became friends. And in the off season, I decided this is the part I don't think anybody really knows. In 93, right after our Midland, I had a meeting with Jack Fireman with the Gators. And Jack says, "We want you to come play." And I said, "I don't know, Jack, how am I going to play?" And he says, "Look, you can go play ASA." He says, "We'll fly you up. You can't play in the Canadians, but you can come up. We'll bring you up, and you have a good time and just hang out. You be a part of the team, and then we'll go and win the ISC." And I'm like, God, that sounds like a pretty good plan. And that was going to be for the 94 season. So we handshaked on. I said, "Listen, the one thing I always wanted to get is to get to a place where I could actually, have a job and play for my sponsor and things like that." And he says, "If that stumbles across, we'll shake hands again and say good luck, and you can go your own way." And so me and Jack said, "Okay, we're going to play for the Gators." So 94, I was supposed to play for the Gators. I made that agreement before I went to New Zealand, and I was in New Zealand, and Les Siegel called me from Allcar, and he says, listen, you come out here and play in Green Bay, I'll give you a job, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. I actually got Packers tickets thrown in there. I got everything.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I had 2 tickets to the Skybox in Green Bay. And I said, oh my God, this is what I wanted. I wanted a job that goes, so I have a job in the off season, not just, trying to figure it out. And I called Jack up and he says, good luck to you. He says, that's awesome. Good for you. And then, so I went off to New Zealand, and Pencor fell apart, or I think it was an HCD then. So I was kind of recruiting out in New Zealand, and I was playing with Mark, and I said, come play for us, Mark. And he's like, Russ Boyce is, going to coach. You played with Russ at NHCD and all that. And Russ called me. He's like, you got to get Mark. I said, I'm doing my job right here, Russ. I'm doing everything I can to get Mark here. And Mark says, you're going to be in for a while? I said, this is where I wanted to be for a while. And he says, I'm going to make a commitment to him. He says, we're going to go do this. And he says, I don't know if you know this, we just got Undy kind of committed too. And I said, holy cow, I didn't know that. I said, and we had Paul Algar, but now we got Undy committed too. And a couple more of the pieces were falling into place. And he goes, Russ thinks Steve Schott's going to play with us. And so Russ was putting pieces together on this team. And so we went, and Mark committed with me, and we're all going to Allcar. And then, along that path, we won in '94 was the year we won at Prince Edward Island, my first ISC. And it's always kind of crazy to think about this. I beat the Gators.
Yeah, I was going to say, you beat the Gators.
That's right.
And
and we were down 1-0 or down a run, and I had the triple with 2 outs to tie it up in the bottom of the 7th.
Wow.
And then a couple batters later, Colin drove me in, and we won.
Yeah.
How special was that?
It was always, not many people really knew that, but I was committed and, going to play for the Gators, and then in the back end of things. And I know me and Jack talked about it. I go, Jack, and he goes, listen, it's just one of those things, how it worked. And he says, I don't regret it. He said, good luck to you. And I spent the next 4 years in Green Bay. And, so I get a lot of respect for Jack over the years as a sponsor, and just a good friend of mine. I didn't know him great and personally, because I never was around him every day. I know all those Gators like Brian Patton and Chuck Hendricks and Adam Smith and those guys. Right. Those guys, he was one of the best sponsors they ever had, and they loved playing for Jack. And I could figure out why, because he was loyal to him and he was a good guy. And so I had nothing but great things to say about Jack Fireman over the years. And but it was really, he didn't try to talk me out of it. He says, hey, we agreed on it. There was nothing on paper. It was just no problem. Good luck to you, Shawn. And so Jack let me go. And then when I talked to him afterwards, he's like, dang you. And I'm like, I know it. How does that happen, Jack? Like that. And he goes, I don't know. It's just funny how this game works. And I said, ain't that the truth? So, but that got me to Allcar, and I had some really good years there. Les Siegel was an amazing sponsor, one of the great sponsors. And then even to go back, I was so fortunate my whole career to have sponsors. And I think that's what ultimately killed the game, is the lack of them.
Right.
But I had great sponsors. I had in Midland, it was Lefty Bardos who raised all the money there. And then you go back and Nick McCurry, putting things together with his small budget. And he probably had the best. If he could put his all-star team together, he'd probably win the ISC every single year. If he could put every player that ever came through his backyard together on a team, he would have had amazing teams. And, so it was just an amazing, I was so lucky to have that. So, but it got me to 97. And then I know there was some kind of rumblings that Allcar might be done. And that's when I jumped to 98. I jumped to the Smokers for a season. And it was some awesome guys. I had a lot of fun that year with the guys.
Oh, Marty was there with you, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Marty was
he was there. Yeah, he was there, and Zach was there. So not a bad staff.
No, pretty good.
We won. We won that year. we won in 98 at Kimberly again. So it was really cool for me to go back to Kimberly, where it all started for me, and win. And we had gotten beat in 96 by the Smokers with Allcar when we got beat opening weekend, and we made it all the way back, and the Smokers beat us. So to actually win at Kimberly for me was kind of cool, because that's still the place, like I said, it opened my eyes to softball. So the Smokers, I had a good time with all the guys. I loved them. Pete was good to me. Just, it was different. Obviously, it was just a different atmosphere and a different thing. But, good time with the guys. We always had opportunity to win games. That's for sure, with the talent we had. And that was the part I think I was so lucky with over my career, is the guys were so, God, I had guys that wanted to win. It was so fortunate. A lot of national team members from all over the world, but guys that wanted to win. And I think that for me was definitely what I wanted. I really, I wanted to win as much as I could and be on a successful team. So in 98 was with the Smokers, and then they fell apart that next year. And I jumped on in Decatur, and another great organization. Moved down there, was there for a while, won another ISC there, won an ASA there, had an ASA with All Car as well. Just really awesome time in Decatur. And then eventually up to Wisconsin. And that's where I kind of stayed with Tim Sonntag and County Materials, County Concrete. We changed names a couple times, but another phenomenal sponsor, been in the game 30 years and kind of rode out my career there. Had a couple I think we got beaten in the finals a couple times. And then the last 2 years of my career, we won back-to-back ISCs. So got 5 of them in total, which was pretty awesome. I know how hard it is. Yeah, it know hard. And it was, I look and I see some things that are going on online and see that softball's playing. And I hear the people talk about the glory days. And I think I caught it in a really good time. I think if you go back a little to the early 80s, might've been the absolute prime, but being there right at the end of the 80s and through the 90s, and, to face somebody like Zach in his prime and things like that, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, that was pretty amazing to go through it and to win during that era, or be good enough at that time to play at that level during that era. Really look how fortunate I was, and how great the game was to me.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, your last couple of years there with County Material, I mean, that must have been pretty special for you. I mean, especially to go out on top, because
yeah,
that last year was pretty crazy. You guys went 47-3 and won all 7 tournaments you were in.
That was stupid. It was just stupid. And honestly, and not knocking, our 3 losses were like, the 3 losses came like in the round robin tournaments where we already had first place clinched.
Oh yeah.
And I think Carl Golan was our 3rd, and I think he took all 3 losses, and they were all 1-run games. They could have we could have won them. I don't think we lost. I honestly, I think they were all 1-run games. And, wow. and he pitched, I mean, he was a good pitcher. I can remember, I think that year or the year before, we beat, we won in Aurelia, and he pitched. He was probably our best pitcher that weekend. And so they were just some crazy years. But that last year's team, I mean, it was just a different group of guys. Again, we've cycled a few new guys, but the core was there. And just, again, the guys were committed to winning. And that was the part I think I was so lucky. If you look at the guys, I played with some of the greatest guys, softball players in the world. I played with Bill Boyer. I played with Mark Sorensen, played with Colin Abbott, Darren Zach, Mike White, Todd Martin. Those guys were my teammates. And like, those are the absolute best in my era. And I got to play on the same team with them. Yeah. And so I was so fortunate to kind of be mixed in with those guys and then to have a good career and be successful too, not just ride the coattails. You had to belong in that group. Right. And me, Mark, and Colin were on the same lineup. I always think about that. When we were in Green Bay, that was, I batted 1 and Mark and Colin batted 3 and 4. And like, that was, and then, that was our part of our lineup. But then you kind of go to other years and you had Thomas McKee at 1, me at 2, Mark at 3, Jared Martin at 4. And like, just like, when does this stuff stop? Like I think we counted one year, we had 10 national team members on the team one year. Wow. And not counting the pitchers. And so the lineups were loaded at times. That's why I was blessed with great sponsors. And, and I always felt that I owed the game something in a way for how good it was to me. And it really was. And, the friendships I made and just the guys, we're all on the same page. Everybody that I played with on the last 10 years, 12 years, there was only one thing in goals, and it was to win. And that was like a brotherhood. We all understood, look, we have to come together as a team. and get tight and fight for each other. And that was always a challenge with different, we had the Kiwis and there was some battles with Canada, the Canadian guys. And so some of our guys were getting drilled. And we got Canadians, we got Argentinians, we got New Zealanders, we got Australian, we got the US. And how do we go put this whole mix? You got a little international battle going on between Canada and New Zealand, hitting Brad Rona, hitting Patty Shannon. Yeah. And now we got Canadians on the team like that were at some of the fights that went on in New Zealand. And it's like, how do we manage all this? And, I think the guys were so professional and were so driven by what we did. We just kind of banded together and said, look, right now we're brothers. Yeah. When we leave here, you go back to your blood, you go back to your nation, whatever it is. But right now we're brothers and we're going to fight for each other. Yeah. Look, we're not going to start the fights, but we're going to make sure nothing happens to you if you start to fight. And you ain't got to worry about anybody bailing out on you. Right. We always kind of said that if something breaks out, if you decide to go to the mound, look, you're on your own there, but nobody's going to get you from behind. We're going to make sure that. And that was, whether it was a U.S. guy, Canadian guy, whatever, nobody was getting you from behind. We had each other's backs, and that you might go get your butt whooped or you might whip somebody's butt, but you won't have to worry about somebody jumping in behind or getting smacked behind and, somebody just going, well, they owe you one, so I'm not going to do anything. That was never that everybody, we were together. So, yeah. I think the guys were awesome.
Yeah, that's huge for team chemistry. I mean, team chemistry wins you championships, I find.
It was funny you bring up chemistry. We had one year in county, the first weekend out, we had some good managers too along the way. And they're like, hey, Russ Boyce was kind of the original. And there was a few people that coached me off of Russ's tree, Johnny Becker, Tim Lyons. And so, Russ always said, pick and choose your nights. Don't get your days and nights mixed up. But he always had, look, first weekend of the year, go let it rip. And we all went out and had, got up the next morning. We're all hungover and hurting. And the next weekend we show up and we were talking about the team chemistry and this and that. And so I think Chris Kiefel from Australia printed up shirts and it just counting materials. And on the back, it said chemistry. That was the right on it. It just said chemistry. And we all knew what that meant. And because it was important to everybody. I think that was, the good news was the guys knew the building blocks of what the season needed. And, we need talent, we need pitching. Everybody knew that we had it. And then the other element is how we're going to get along. What's our chemistry as a team? So, hey, what are we going to do? Well, I want to do this. I want to do that. Guys said, look, we all knew it. We needed to do stuff together. And sometimes you need to kind of, okay, fine. We're not going out or we're doing this. We're all going to go do this as a group. It'll be better for what we're after anyways. Mm-hmm. And so guys would do some sacrificing, their own agendas and sometimes some family stuff just because they knew how important that was. And it was sort of we all knew that had to be a part of we had to have good pitching. We had to have good chemistry or you weren't going to win. And so guys just worked a bit at it. And it just, I don't know, managers were good about picking the right guys too. They did a really good job kind of meshing everybody and, not just the best players, but the players that fit together and had the same goals. So that was kind of nice too.
Right on. Tell us about, getting the call that you'd be inducted in the ISC Hall of Fame in 2012. Pretty cool moment for you and your family, I imagine.
Yeah, really cool. I think just one of those accumulation of, I was always good at stepping back and seeing, where I was and, how things had went. And, by that time, I knew I had a good career and, successful and just moments through the years that really mattered in the game. And I had those good key moments and some successful ISCs and things like that from a hitting standpoint. So it was sort of that, what you were always thinking, it was right. You knew you had a good career. You knew it. And again, then I look back and you see the names and the history, and then you kind of get a little misty-eyed realizing that you belong in that fraternity. Like I said, I remember watching Bill Boyer play kind of when I was still on the younger side, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to run the bases like him. And, seeing guys pitch and hit and do things like that. So to kind of get put in that group of who else is in, Sorensen and some of these guys. And there were some guys that went in after me like, oh, that was a no-brainer. That guy was going in because he was what a stud he was when I played. But to see some of the history of it and, some of the guys that kind of laid the groundwork down for softball to continue to grow. And so it's just a really, really good moment for me. Just kind of, I think for my family that all the years and missed missed family reunions. I missed a cousin's wedding, and they're like, well, why can't you just come later? I'm like, listen, this is 94. I missed my first cousin's wedding, and we grew up together, and I'm like, sorry, I'm got to go to the ISC. And they're like, it's just a softball tournament. Nobody really got it. And then this kind of made everybody go, holy cow, that actually was quite a bit bigger than just going on a softball weekend and messing around. And I'm like, yeah, it really was. It was a job. It was a career. It was a lifestyle. It was just who you were for about 20 years. And, you know, that part I loved. And I loved that life and, you know, that kind of that every weekend and that thought in the wintertime thinking about it and can't wait till it. But it's sort of, that's what that call was, is just that accumulation of all that stuff that you did and gave up and sacrificed and left and went away from your friends and went somewhere else to play and did this. It was all worth it. And it was just kind of that final stamp of approval that you made the right choice.
Right on. So what led you into the coaching?
I was in Boston. I was still playing, obviously. And I was playing in Decatur, and I was playing with Aaron Earlywine at the time, and I didn't know Aaron, but the first year we were all in Decatur, I find out that he's an assistant coach at Georgia Tech University, and I'm like, dang, that's a gig. And he had been a baseball coach, you know, before, so he coached I think Division III baseball, Division II. I don't even know what level. He had coached baseball, college baseball, and he was a head coach. And so I don't know what got him to go to softball. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And I just was prying him from information and how do you get into that? How do you do this? And how do you do that? And he's like, you know, well, my story is a little different because I coached baseball and kind of after college and did this. And so I got into college coaching a little differently, and then it transferred over to softball. And that was when we were in Decatur. And that winter, I got kind of connected to the university in Decatur, Millikan University. And I had already coached a little bit of high school with a friend of mine, and we actually won a state championship in New York at my high school. And so I went back and helped him and went in the off season. So I kind of got a little taste of it, but high school is so different, and it's sometimes painful in a way too, with just kids not committed to it. You know, they're just having fun and It's part of their whatever. And then, so I got an opportunity to coach Division III softball, and no pay, nothing, just give your time up. And it was so much fun, and go out there and teach everything and anything I could. And the kids are, you know, they're seeing me play. They come out and watch me play on the weekend. And then I come back on Monday for practice, and they're like, oh my God. I'm like, what? They're like, that I've never seen anybody throw so hard. And they're Division III girls, and they've never been around it. And then just the level, and they're like, what else? Teach us something, coach. And it was just like, their head coach is like, well, go ahead. He was just more of a volunteer in a way. Yeah. He wasn't a lifelong coach. He was Division III. It was 25 years or 20 some years ago. It was different then. And so he knew what he was doing. But then again, what I was doing was just so much different. And so he's like, go. And so I just basically had free reign to do anything I wanted. And it was awesome. We didn't have the pitching, unfortunately. We had the hitting, and we had the fielding, and we played defense. But the kids learned, and they got excited about it. And I started firing resumes out and this and that. And actually got a call and was talking to St. Bonaventure University in New York, which is about 20 minutes from my hometown. And I was known the coach there I played against his brother. He was a couple of years older than me. We had played softball against each other in the league back in the day. So I knew him pretty well. And he's like, hey, if you want to come back here, I got a spot for you. And so I went back to New York, my hometown, and living in my hometown, and coached at the local university, Division I, and coached there for a while. And was still playing softball in the week, you know, traveling in the summer and doing all that. And towards the end of the fall, I got a phone call from Billy McDonald, who played from Boston, who played with the Sea Dogs and a bunch of different teams, OTB, the old OTB, Middletown team, all that with Tom McAvoy back and he played with them for a lot of years. And he's like, hey, why don't you come to Boston and coach? And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? He says, I'm the assistant at Boston, and Amy Hayes, who was from Decatur, she knows all about you. She saw you play and blah, blah, blah. And so I ended up taking the job at Boston University as an assistant, and just through Decatur connections and just this and that. And then through softball connections. So I went out to Boston for 2 years, and that was where I first got into really kind of paid and recruiting and that whole life. And then my head coach at Boston came to me at the end of the season and said, hey, I've got an opportunity to go to University of Oregon as an assistant, and I want to go back out in that Northwest area. I've been out there before, and that's where I'm leaving BU. And she's like, I'm gonna do everything I can to get you the job. And I'm like, I'm in. I only got a couple of years of coaching experience, but a ton of playing experience by then. And I had about 3 or 4 parents write letters, and they said it'd be awesome if our daughter could play for him and blah, 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 blah. So there was a combination of people that got me that job.
Wow.
And I got hired there, and I lose the year now, 2004, maybe it was 3. I can't remember the year exactly. Mm-hmm. But I got hired, and that was how I got that job. And I was the head coach there for 8 years. And we were pretty successful. Won some championships, got to the NCAAs, were successful in the NCAA, actually. Every year I was there, I think we went 4 or 5 times the NCAA with conference championships, because there was no at large. We were a small school, so we had to win our tournament. And every year we were there in the NCAAs, we won games and got to the regional finals one time. That was to go on to the super regionals. So didn't make it at Boston, and then got a phone call after another real successful season, and it was the AD at NC State, and they offered me the job to come down here. And I was head coach here for 6 years, and we had a couple really, really good years, couple injury years, made it to actually, this is another crazy story. We, the first year I was there, we get beaten in the regional final. The second year we win the first game and then had to get beat twice. First year we played Tennessee and got beat by them to go to the winner's bracket. And then we had to win twice on Sunday. We got beat right away and we were done. The next year we go to Georgia, and they're number 4 in the whole country, and we beat them. So now we got to get beat twice on Sunday, which we did. And then the next year we go to James Madison, and they're hosting, and we knock them off. They were like 14th in the country or 16th in the country. Take that back, 16th in the country. And they get kind of a little bit rattled getting beat by us at home. First time they ever hosted, and we knock them off. So we go to super regionals, and I get sent to Oregon, and hello, Mike White. And they were number 1 in the country. And so, but for a brief moment, we were ahead. We had a leadoff home run to start the whole super regional off. And for about 3 or 4 innings, we're at 1-0. And I think they beat us like 5-2 and 8-3 or something in the 2 games. They were way better than us. They were number 1 team in the country, and they were the number 1 seed. I don't know if they're a number 1 team, but they were number 1 seed in the country. And we had a good team, but they just had some too big of horses for us. Wow. So, and then we had a couple injury years, and then kind of come to the end of it was time for me to get away. Things got hard, didn't get along with my AD, and we just parted ways. I had a buyout in my contract. They bought me out. And that was kind of the beginning of the story of how I'm still here in North Carolina and getting to my own business. And it was, over the course of time, you change your coaching style with the kids. It's not like I remember as a kid in the old days, like playing Little League football. When they wanted you to do something, they grabbed you by the face mask. They basically flew you over to the spot, told you to block him, threw you on the ground, kicked you in the butt, and you said, yes, sir. And then you executed it just like they told you. Yeah. And so that was how I grew up. And not that I had some good managers that were very, good at Denny Bruckert and Russ Boyce. They love to communicate, and I thought that was their strength. And so I was a good communicator as a coach, but it's like, got to change again. God, you yelled at everybody, and now they think you're a crazy guy, and like, got to change. And I think it was at this time, and it was just, I don't want to change again. I'm not sure I want to change. And then to get away for a little while and have some peace, come back, and it's a stressful job. It is. It's almost got to the point where you aren't happy you won. You're just relieved. And so the fun of it died a little bit. And for me, even like you have a big win, and you're like, oh, thank God, just gonna go. I'll be able to sleep tonight. Tomorrow I'll go back to not sleeping again, but at least tonight I'll sleep. Literally, and it, recruiting is harder and harder, and it was. I think just. I don't know if I was worn out, but I needed out for then anyways, whether it be go somewhere else and be an assistant or whatever. So I had my buyout, and I was under contract for a couple of years still. And that allowed me some time to kind of get the business going, kind of for me and my wife to fall onto our feet with her getting a really good job and kind of getting some stability for us. And then it just kind of, Travis Wilson, actually at Florida State. All right, we were in the same conference. We're good friends, and I still talk to a lot of people, and that's nice for my business. And I'm still connected to the college game and college people and coaches. And he asked me, he says, "You're going to come back?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, it'd have to be absolutely perfect. Yeah. It would have to be the perfect storm. I'm in an area here. There's 3 Division I colleges within, 15 minutes of my house. So I never say never. If, a new head coach came in and it was somebody I knew really well, and they said, "Hey, we want you to do this," and I'd have to probably lose my business, or at least turn it over to my assistant now, or I don't know, have to sell it or something. But it never completely leaves my mind, but it would have to be really, really good, because I'm successful. If I want to take tomorrow off, I make a couple phone calls and I take tomorrow off. If I want to go out fishing tomorrow, I want to take the week off. I take the week off. I want to go home to New York at Christmas, or my kid's got a baseball game and it's a Friday, Saturday. I run everything that I do in my life now, job wise. I want to make a lot of money. I work Saturdays. I got to take a little break. I'm getting tired. I take a day off. I can completely control. I've had a couple times where some people come in and say, "Well, we want to do this." And I'm like, "That's not how it works here." "Well, you should run your business this way." And I said, "Look, I appreciate your desire to come in here, but I'm not going to give you guys lessons." And out the door they go. And I don't have to answer to an AD or an administrator, or it's my decision, how I run my business and how I run my life now. And I like that control. So that would be pretty hard to give up right now. And I don't want to move, because my son's in 9th grade and my other one's in 5th grade. So my kids are kind of locked in, at least for another 10 years of wanting to be here. And maybe then it's time to retire on a lake in a boat or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens in 10 years, but that's kind of where we're at. Is just, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. There's some days I miss coaching. I do miss softball. I do miss softball. That's the one thing. I'm in a part of an element of it. It's great, but I do miss being at the ballpark. And it doesn't mean college. Sometimes people God, maybe I should just go help out once in a while with the travel ball team. Just be like that volunteer guy that shows up 4 or 5 weekends and gives us 2 cents. And, maybe he's at a national tournament with the team and helps out. And I miss the game. I miss getting out there and going, "Oh, if you would have just done this and this in this element of the game, you would have really had an opportunity for some success." But I miss that part of the game, and the competition every now and then I miss. But there's, again, the days and the college grind of recruiting. And I didn't mind being on the road, but sometimes the struggles of getting your butt whooped by somebody else stepping in and taking the kid you wanted, and you put all that work in, but they're a bigger name than you, and they just pull her away like there's nothing to it. Like, you put months in on somebody, you're like, "Yes, we got her. Oh, Texas is here. Oh, yeah. Never mind. We'll see you later." God, they spent 5 minutes with you, and I've been with you 2 months and found you. And so sometimes that
that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. And so I don't miss that. I don't miss that meeting. Oh, you got to meet with the AD tomorrow. And then you have your meet weekly and this, and you got to deal with the budget, and you got to meet with compliance. And this kid got herself in trouble over the weekend. You got to punish her, and 3 kids are struggling in grades. So you got to go meet with the academic people, and then you got to do this. And it just, that part I don't miss. The softball part I miss on the field, but that I don't.
Right. Actually, one thing I wanted to ask before we get on to the final segment here that we end every podcast with, what was a typical workday like for you during your like coaching career, like during the season? What would like a typical workday be like?
Yeah. So Mondays were off usually. So if we're into the season, there's a couple out, like early on, you're traveling to tournaments. So like usually I'll give you kind of the week or a couple weeks. So in January, you come back from Christmas break and you got about 4.5 weeks till you play. And so it's 5 days a week of practice. So I would get in the office, not super early, but I think I'd get my kids off to school, and then I would usually drop one off and then go to the office. And you get there and it's probably some practice planning, find out what happened over the weekend. Did anything come back? And you'd have some meetings. You'd meet with your AD. You might meet with compliance. You'd have requirements that weren't softball related. The budgeting and the scheduling was all long done. So everything was kind of in a plan where now it's about practice in January. And so you plan practice with your assistants, and depending if recruiting was going on to a certain extent, send some emails, millions of emails to either respond to or move on every day, and get to practice. You have about 3 hours at practice on the fields. And then the kids would either have lifted early in the morning or they'd lift afterwards, depending on what the schedule was. And so sometimes I get back in the office, kind of do a recap of what the practice was, talk to the assistants, kind of, well, this kid doesn't look like she's where she needs to be. And, just deal with whatever happened at practice, and then write some notes down. All right, tomorrow we got to do that again. That was awful. And then, there's an email from somebody that needs some attention somewhere in the department. You got to do something next day. So you either send a early warning on that out or something, and then go jump into lift and watch them lift and work out a little bit. Depends on just the time. Sometimes there are different things will come up. I got to get this recruiting thing. I got a meeting coming up, and I got to have all my recruits kind of laid out for the AD so they know where we're at, who we're recruiting, what's up to speed with this and that. And there might be something with meeting of the Wolfpack Club, or you get a couple phone calls to return, and you go home 7, 8 o'clock at night, and then you do it again. And then once the season started, was good. You'd have play on. So a lot of times you travel on Thursday and then play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Thursday might be on the road, and then you play your weekend. You get home, you'd have Monday off. That had to be an off day. And you got Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on the road again Thursday to Sunday, and then back. And then you might host a tournament, which was a lot of work. And this is all in the springtime before the conference played. And then once it got warm enough here, after about 3 weeks, you'd throw in there a Wednesday night or Tuesday night single game doubleheader. And so those were fun sometimes, because just a little different element. You could pick and choose the schedule. So sometimes you'd realize, like, oh yes, we got a pretty weak team coming in tonight. Just going to be, there's going to be a little bit of, you come out and you jump them for 3, and you got a good team and they jump them, and you got your good pitcher going, and then she's out and you bring somebody in, and it's just like a good night. A lot of kids played, a lot of kids hit, we look good, everybody's happy. So midweek, hey, great. And then you realize, yeah, but we've got Florida State this weekend for 3 games, and they're ranked 6th. And you're like, geez. So then and then you're trying to watch and scout, talk to other coaches. You're watching film. That's kind of what it changed a lot. And when I first started, there was no film, and then you get where you can pick up every game that was on, ESPN, or watch it back, or you're still talking to other coaches trying to get scouting reports to really. But you could watch game after game, and it's like there's Florida State 6 times. And so now you're trying to just watch as many at bats, and your assistants are doing the same. And you're like, hey, so-and-so's pretty good. And then I can remember calling Travis up once, and I said, hey, how good is that Warren kid you got? And I'm calling him up, and he says, dude, wait till you see her. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait this weekend. He says, seriously, she is something special.
Who's that, Jesse?
And this is Jesse Warren.
Yeah.
Yep. And I can remember this phone conversation with him, and I'm like, dude, he goes, I said, did you do it? And he goes, hell no. He says, yeah. He says, we did our part, but this kid came with the goods, and she was a stud. We had Florida State beat one year. We beat them the first year. They come into my very first year in the ACC. We played them. They beat us 3 times at our place, and we get to the ACC. We finished second somehow in the league. We got a big break on the last weekend to go from like fourth to second, which put all the teams that we had gotten beat by bad into the other side. And the teams we actually beat were on our side. And I don't know how it wasn't like it was. Those are the teams we just somehow played better against. And so we get to the final and we beat Florida State 1-0 at their place my first year at State. And that was ACC championship. So I have in all of the ACC, in every single sport, I'm the only coach ever to win an ACC championship in his first year.
Wow.
That's basketball, baseball, anything. I'm the only one that's ever won one in the first year, most of the time though, when you get coaching changes, it's because somebody got fired.
Yeah.
So most coaches are taking over a crappy program, which I did. We were 14-30 the year I took over. And then we flipped it to 30, I don't know, 34, 38, something like that, and 15 or 20 that second year, or the first year that I took over. And
wow.
So we had a big flip. We had a nice pitcher here that we developed, and had a hitter that we developed, and kind of had the pieces of the puzzle that they just needed it. They needed something new. That's all they needed. And we had a good team. But I remember that phone call with Travis, going back to him when Jesse Warren was there. I said, how good is she? He said, dude, wait till you see it. And I think she hit about 5 home runs that weekend. And then a couple of years later, I think maybe the next year, we were playing at Virginia Tech, and we win our first game. And I think this is the semifinals of the ACC tournament. And we go up 4-5-0. And Warren hurt her ankle. And she was like literally hobbling through this whole tournament. And she doesn't start the game against us. And it's like a 10-11 game back and forth, which you wouldn't think would happen, but both teams are smacking it all over. And they had an All-American on the mound, and we were just hammering on her, and they hammered on our good kid too. And so it was back and forth. And I think we're up to bases loaded, 2 out. And all of a sudden, here comes Jesse Warren off the bench. And it's like a Kirk Gibson moment where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what is going to happen. Yeah. I just knew exactly what was going to happen. I got this sick feeling. I'm like, I should just walk her, but they would probably, fire me to walk that, like you just don't do it in the girls' game. And she hits a ball in the opposite field gap. It plates all 3. I think she got a single on it because she couldn't run, but she cleared the bases, and then they got a couple and they beat us. And I'm like, God dang, kid. But she was good. I never so happy to see her leave and graduate, but she was a really special kid. But you just try to watch over the course of your week. You're trying to watch film, and then you run across a kid like that, and you're like, what is that about? So I can remember that phone call after watching some film one week going, oh God, that's not going to be any fun. And they hammered on us, but that's kind of your routine. You just practice. You get Mondays off, and usually you go in on Mondays because there's just so much stuff to do to get prepared for the weekend. Well, that might be my video day where I watch some film to kind of plan the week on Mondays, and sometimes I got better and better, hey, I'm not coming in, but I'm just going to watch everything on my iPad. So on Tuesday, we'll have a plan of what the week needs to be. And then you just kind of do some things at practice, play a midweek game, home or away. And then the tournament on the weekend, or conference on the weekend, which was 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and some are at home, some are on the road. And just, that was it till the postseason at the end of the year.
Right on. I've always wanted to, I always want to know that, actually. Little thing that we end the podcast with here, Shawn. It's we call it player association. I'm going to throw a few names to you, and you can say as much or as little about them as you want.
Okay.
All right. First, we're going to start with Mark Sorensen.
The best in the game. He was the best. I learned so much from him. I'll say a lot about him because when I got to New Zealand with him, I learned how to train. I learned how to prepare. I learned how to. I took it all. I took wide open. Learned so much from him. Learned how to be a professional. Learned to be a professional hitter. How to study the pitchers. How to obviously pick pitches, and just carry myself at a whole nother level. And then he was somebody, I don't know if he realized the impact he had on me, but I paid attention and just tried to do a lot of things that I saw him do. But he was a good friend, and was when we left and when he went back, but learned a lot from him. One of the best, I thought, the best hitter, the best person up in the moment.
Awesome. Next we have Z-Man. Darren Zach.
Z was the best pitcher I faced. And I actually had success off him. There was a couple pitchers I didn't, but what a great guy. Just absolute, I don't know how many times you hear, hey, pal, his catchphrase. Everybody that's been around him goes, hey, pal. You kind of get where you start saying it. But great competitor. Got to be on a couple teams with him. Got to see him be a leader, and just really good friend. Good guy. Awesome.
Next one is April Sutherland.
My All-American. Oh, that one threw me off a little bit. Just great hard worker. I just put so much time into what she did, and I'm forever grateful for her. She had Florida State, I think, or they were interested. She had Cal, she had Northwestern, Iowa, Texas A&M. She had all those schools after her. And she took a chance to come with me in Boston.
Wow.
And played awesome career, broke every record, All-American. The year, her junior year, the outfield All-American were Arizona, Stanford, and Boston University. That was the three outfield All-Americans that year.
Wow.
She had 20-some home runs. Yeah. Wow. Just a phenomenal kid and player. And she's still in Boston now. I went up, she got inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I went up to her Hall of Fame induction a few years back, or I was still coaching then. And just so really was my big marquee kid that probably shouldn't have been at Boston University, and took a chance with me and had a great career. And great story for all the kids that think they have to be at the number one school and the highest ranked. This kid turned down a lot of those and kind of found a fit in what she wanted, and it was a great career for her. Real good.
That's awesome. Last one, you know her pretty well. Maggie Hawkins.
Maggie, my assistant. Yeah, Maggie played. She transferred from Hofstra for us and came to NC State, and kind of made a name. And she had a great year, senior year, but she hit the most famous home run in state history, a walk-off to send us to super regionals. So, and then I end up hiring her, and she's working with me now and gives instruction and lessons. So, just really good kid. Great family. I know her dad really well. Tailgates, he's a Ravens fan. And so, we talked football season, and even before she came here, now working with me, I talked to her, and then my old pitcher, Emily Wyman, they're both all from Maryland. So they're all Ravens fans. So we were all back and forth football season, but Maggie she had a lot of opportunities to go different places, and it worked out well. And, for me, it kind of changed a part of my history by coming to state and hitting that home run and getting us to the super regional. So it was, a great moment for me, and somebody that, is a good friend of mine now, and we have a good working relationship, a good friendship, and just kind of cool that it turned out that way.
Right on. Well, Shawn, I got to thank you for coming on. This has been fantastic. I mean, I hope you and I are sitting here, and usually we got to struggle to get questions together and everything. But you walked right through this.
Actually, I want to thank you very much. Yeah,
yeah, no worries. I got a few interviews under my belt over the years. I love the game. I really did. I just I miss the guys though. I do. I will much as anything. Todd Martin called me about a month ago, I guess, and we were talking about his daughter, and we just talked for a long time, and it was just, I miss, there's such a part of our life. I saw Brian Patton post this once, and he says, yeah, it was the best time of our lives. And it's not downplaying your family and your kids, but that stretch from 20 years old to 35 years old, It really was. It was the best time of my life to be with that and that lifestyle that I was in. You know, you hear somebody talk about, oh, I love being in college, that college life. Mine got to last for about 18, 19 years of ISCs. And that was my life. You know, I had a college life in a different way, not the partying and that stuff, but just the playing, that thing I loved for about 20 years almost. And that was my life. And so I missed that part of it. I missed the guys, the friendships, the people you don't know. Hey, I saw you play 10 years ago and you had these 3 hits and blah, blah, blah. And you won the game and this and that. And you're like, oh yeah, I've been following you ever since. I'm like, you're like, wow, some guy in the Midwest, you have no idea. And he's talking about following you every day. And, oh, I saw you going to this team and I was excited because I like that team. And I always root for him when we're at the ISC. And like, you know, people made it every year they trekked in their Winnebagos and that. And it was just cool, that lifestyle. So I missed that part a lot, and the friendships with the guys and just the hotels and the camaraderie, all that stuff, the dugouts, the game I missed too, but it's those guys and the friendships and all that. It's hard because they're all over the world. It's not like we're all in the same neighborhood anymore. No. You know, we're all over the world, and it's hard to kind of connect to them all. Yep, for sure. All right, Shawn. Thanks again, man. This has been awesome. All the best with the softball academy going forward, and best of luck at your football pool tonight. Thanks. Hopefully, I get a few winners. I appreciate being on. You guys are great. Good for the game, though. Thank you very much. All right, Shawn. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. All right. Take care. Man. Yeah. That was easy on us. Yeah. Why did you even invite me here today? Great talker. Oh man, that was great. Yeah. That was awesome. Lots of great stories, man. Yeah. Well, like you said, he's done a few interviews. He's had a few under his belt. For sure. Yeah. That guy's career's sick. Yeah. Not to mention his coaching career. Like, it's just opportunity, man. That's so nice. Yeah. Being able to, I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Unreal. I mean, we were talking about this at the ball field yesterday with Jeff Frazier and saying, to be able to coach NCAA and have that as your job. But I mean, he brought up some good points about, it's a full-time job. Yeah. It's not all peaches and cream. It's, you're busy. Yeah. You're definitely busy. But see how I had peaches on my mind there? Yeah. Peaches. That was in the same territory. Good throw there. All right, man. Well, I guess we're down for another week. See what happens next week, I guess. Okay, my friend. All right. See you at the ball field. Everybody out there, have a great week, and stay safe. Cheers. Pick it up, yeah. Pick it up, pick it up. Ha. Pick it up. Nah, we ain't slowing down. Pick it up, yeah. Let's play a game, call a monkey in the middle. Married to the game, but I ain't scared to make a single. This right here got you feeling like a nympho. About the climax with your face all in a pillow. It's a grand slam home run. Early morning tee off, sinking a hole in one. 1-1, the underdog, but I'm winning it. Club closed, but the DJ keeps spinning it. Oh, I can't stop this feeling that I come across. Moonwalking on water like the sun of God. Then I'm ghost. Busters, who you gonna call? Feels like Christmas when I'm sipping on that rum and all. It's a bonus on your paycheck. It's when the wifey surprised you with day sex. Yes, it's going on that first date. It's taking her over dinner and she offers to pay. That's a grand slam. Move the oatmeal way back. I'm swinging for the fence. Grand slam. I got a couple of drinks, got weed and some money to spend. That's a grand slam. I'm feeling brand new, like no I can't lose. That's a damn good day to me. That's a damn good day to me. That's right, and that's a damn good day. Pick it up, I'm trying to give a bit of great advice. You in a dark place, this could be your ray of light. It's a feeling that could make you nice. I'm trying to take these people higher. It don't matter if you're afraid of heights. Right. It's like that back massage. It's a bachelor party over your last hurrah. Feels good, don't it? Enjoy it while you can, cause this all stops when the record ends. There's 3 types of people I know that tell the truth. Kids, drunks, and those who nothing to lose. I'm on my last drink though, but got no weed to smoke. Oh, just found a joint in the seat of my coach. That's a grand slam. Move the oatmeal way back. I'm swinging for the fence. Grand slam. I got a couple of drinks, got weed and some money to spend. That's a grand slam. I'm feeling brand new, like no I can't lose. That's a damn good day to me. Said I'm feeling brand new, like no I can't lose. That's a damn good day to me. Grand slam. And that's a damn good day to me.
pick it up, pick it up.
Nah, we ain't slowing down, pick it up, yeah. I'm a tall, skinny white dude, born and raised out in Enfield is where I'm still living today. Nah, I never went Hollywood, heaven forbid. And a big up to my hometown for letting me live. I'm feeling it and feeling energized, like I worked out and got some exercise. It's that game-winning goal, it's getting home from work, it's smelling your...
Are you downsizing? Maybe need more room because of additions to the family, or possibly seeking that dream home you've always wanted? Well, Tim Eisner at Royal LePage Atlantic is the guy for you. With a proven track record and multiple awards, Tim goes above and beyond to find out your needs and exactly what you're looking for. So if you're seeking a new home or trying to sell your current one, contact Tim at 902-499-5717 or check him out on Facebook at Tim Eisner. Again, that's 902-499-5717. Trust me, when all is said and done, we'll be saying Tim Eisner strikes again.